Good evening, everybody. William Davis here with A.P.C Photography and Live Productions. I also now represent the Elite Collective. That is official as of today. And we're going to talk about Flypacks and Stagebox and video hubs. We're just going to have some fun. The whole idea of the day is I'm brainstorming some ideas, so I just thought I'd go through the process and do it online live. If anyone's interested in or sees it or jumps in on the live, that would be great. If I'm just talking out there and it gets seen later, that's great too. So the first thing we're going to talk about is basically how do we build out the box, excluding the monitor. So we're not going to talk about the monitor with it, but everything else, what will we need in that box? First would be the brain, like where we're physically sitting at, where we would just connect a computer to it or someone's laptop to it and then have everything kind of rolling from there. So what are the main components we need from there? If I had to start with it, we're going to use Blackmagic for a lot of this, first and foremost, because it's kind of like a no-brainer. So we're going to start with the hub of everything, which is probably going to be a constellation.
How important is it for you to have some kind of resolution to that?
Most people will probably need an HD, but I'd like to probably go 4K. For some reason, I just happen to like the option of being able to do 4K and then drop it back down to 1080p. I think that's just a very smart move to do. This one happens to be a 20 input and 12 output. It should also be your webcam, and it can take a ton of audio. It can do upstream and downstream, which is really cool too. So it's got a lot of options to it. So let's kind of jump into here and look it over. Well, that was weird. There we go. That was really weird. What's so important about this? It's going to be the SDI inputs and outputs. So let's get in here. You're going to have all these SDI ins and outs. So essentially, you're going to have a reference SDI. You're going to have a control Ethernet cable, and then you're going to have, looks like 20 SDI ins and outs, which is kind of cool. Or 20 SDI ins and 12 outs. Plus, you do have a few other options here. So these are going to be your reference and then your portables. And you also have an analog audio in, and I'll explain that one too because it's kind of important for like live streaming and stuff like that. And then on the front of this, you're going to have a whole bunch of switches. Now, depending on how we do this, we could just switch directly from this unit by pressing the buttons on the front of it, and we'd be just fine. We wouldn't need a big switcher, but you have to make sure your configuration is preview, then switch. And you would essentially either cut or auto from here. So you go preview, preview, cut. And it all depends how you program it in. And then you would also have your options here for your keys and everything else. So this is just all in the rack, and you can also see the camera that is actually going in the audio signal. So this is really all you need. And then we can talk about the monitors later, but you don't need anything else other than this to kind of get the Flypack started. So we'll start with one of these, and we'll add that to the cart. And I picked 4K because I happen to like 4K, but there's a couple of other options too on this one. If you don't need as many inputs, and you want to do a little less expensive unit, you can. And that would also be this one here, depending on how you're starting out. But if I'm going to spend the money, I'd rather have the extras than not have the extras. So that's just me. Do you, whatever makes you happy. So I'm going to go back to this one here, which is like 4,100 bucks. Add that to the cart. Next on my ventures is I have to have a way of recording this for clients. And these do get kind of crazy. So this actually got like 80 inputs and 48 outs. I'm not trying to do that. I mean, in 40s. So it gets up there. The next thing I need to do is just figure out how to record this. And they're called hyperdecks. So once again, I want my hyperdecks to be 4K. That's just me. The idea is that we want to have a quick and easy delivery 4K hyperdeck. This gives you those options real quick. It's also on the rack, real easy to work with. So you're going to be able to record a bunch of different ways. You can record in ProRes, you can record in .264, .265, 422. And this is going to take a 12G or 4K SDI in. This is just going to be your way of recording, which is really, really nice. You can record multiple ways. You can record through SD card. You can record through SSDs, which are now stupidly expensive. I'm glad I picked up a couple 2 terabyte ones previously for the work I was doing with Atomos. So getting one of these and having the SSD is going to be internal SSDs is going to be much easier for me. You know, I've already got 10 or 12 terabytes worth, or 9. I got a lot, and it makes it easier to do. But being able to record with that, or you can use those external SSDs to the USB-C. But that's going to be kind of a nuisance to be able to do. Mainly it's just going to be SD cards that we're going to be recording to, because we're going to do 422 is generally what we're going to get. But every once in a while we'll have a client who'll want the top end quality, and we'll do an SSD style. But having that capability and in 4K is really important. Now on the back of this, what I like about this record unit is we have an HDMI, which you can't read it very well, but it's okay. HDMI in and out. We got SDI in and out. We got some control ports. I have to go to Blackmagic's website. Let me see if I can get this on Blackmagic's website. Pull it together. We'll price up the other one.
The guy had, like, I don't even remember how many 20-point games in a row, 50, 60. He was a leading the slam at the end of the game to keep him going. That was the new Draymond Green and making
probably adjust the audio here. Hi everybody, how y'all doing? Hope you're having a great day. I am going over how to build a Flypack, so welcome. Any comments you have, let me know. Let me know if you hear me good. I'm going to test that right now. I haven't tested that at all for this stream. Normally I test it, but it's too. Just 1 second here. Mobile technology is awesome, so just test it. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. See, this is why I gotta test stuff sometimes, because I'm in mono right now. I mean stereo, which is...
neglecting to acknowledge what you just talked about.
That was my bad. My bad. Hi, welcome to the stream. We're going over Flypacks today, and it's going to be pretty easy. We're now on the recorder, so I'm going to continue on that. So the recorder unit is going to be this. We're going to have time code in, time code out. We'll probably end up with 2 of these units. It's really important to have a couple recording options here, so I might have a particular stream that we're doing, and I might also have the one that's actually going out to the stream. Now that sounds kind of weird, but I'll show you why, because we're going to have a dual setup here, so we'll be able to do what we're doing right here. So right now I'm just streaming through a service, but I also will be offering with this Stream Deck the ability to work with like ESPN and other ports like that, because they do want to be able to monitor the stream going in and out. This Flypack will be set up specifically to be able to do all of those things. Let's get out of here. I love touchscreens. So we're going to add 2 of these to the system, and I'll get into why we're doing that later. So this is, so far we've got a switcher, 2 recorders. We're also going to need a way to send out the live stream that goes directly to an SRT, or it goes out to an RTMP with the ability to monitor how the stream's going. So we're going to go over to, excuse me, Encoder. Blackmagic. We're sticking with the one brand right here because they just do a really good. They have a whole solution pack. Encoder 4K, streaming encoder 4K. This unit will be a really key component to what we're doing with our streaming. We will have clients who want to stream, say like ESPN or a higher end client. They will want to be able to do it through SRT. SRT is really, really important for what we do down the road. Like it's extremely important for like boxing companies and stuff like that. They'll send you over the whole packet of everything you need for that. And your job at that point there is just deliver and make their life easy. And believe me, you can do it. I trust everybody that's in here. SRT may sound hard, but it's relatively easy to do. So you also want to be able to stream directly to Facebook or to Twitch or YouTube, Restream, Vimeo, Boxcast. All of these services are included with this switcher piece here, and this piece right here, and it allows you to connect and monitor exactly what's going on with the live stream. Let me show you what this has on it. So you're going to have your front set that's going to show you your on-air percentages, your megabytes per second going out. That's all going to be important. You're going to have your live stream piece right here. This is going to be why this hub's really, really important. It will allow us to both stream directly to an SRT or an RTMP and also stream out to, say, one of these sources at the same time, but you're going to be able to see how your live stream is actually going, which is extremely nice. This is going to have a monitor out as a loop, an SDI in that's going to be coming from the constellation, and an SDI loop out. So there's going to be a monitor, loop, and all of this stuff will allow us to see what is going on with our system. A lot of this will be done off the different laptops that I will assign people jobs to that day. So even the switcher can be done directly from the laptop, like previews this, going here, doing that. It's all going to be off like these touchscreen laptops, i7 like this one here. I'll probably have 7 of these. 1, 2, 3. So I have a stream person, a switcher. The stream person and the switcher are probably going to be the same person. If I have playback, there'll be another laptop for that, but most likely I won't. I will have someone who is also streaming, like on StreamYard or whatever services. I'll have a person for that on that day too. So we're looking at 2 laptops there. And then if I have an audio engineer for that day, if we're doing something more than a couple microphones, I'll always bring an audio engineer. They will be running the audio, which is going to be audio capture and the rest, and we'll get into the Flypacks for that. But we're going to have 3 laptops connecting to this, and one of them will have a webcam out from this unit for when we're streaming, so we have a way of doing a backup stream. I always like having a backup stream, no matter what anyone says. I like having a backup stream. And the other cool thing about this particular unit, if we look up front here, it has a USB-C piece. That piece lets you stream from your cell phone. So you can have this as your secondary backup or your mainstream source for data, and then this unit comes with that. So we're going to need one of those to go with the system. And it kind of works as the webcam and a bunch of other things like that, but it gives you another source out to see what's going on. So at this point here, we have 4 things in the cart. let's see where we're at so far before we have a heart attack. So we're like $10,000 for your box, and we could chop $2,000 off that, and we could also probably chop some more off if we went with HD. But this is a 4K system, so one of the things that's unique about this system is it's future-proofed all the way to 4K. So the investment's a little bit high up front, but the long-term usability is going to be really, really good. So at this point here, we're like $9,200 with taxes. We haven't even got the cables in here yet. But with all of this, we actually have most of the initial part of the Flypack done. I said most. We got two more things we need to add into this unit. So number one, this one's going to be 3x3. We do 8x and 3x. So I'm probably going to end up. No. I'm going to do 3x3s. That way I can split them to different locations. So we're going to do 3. Design. 3x3. Okay.
As you sit there and you reacquaint yourself with this, you sure? I can just prove to hear you call more baseball, I guess is what I'm saying.
I honestly, I appreciate the point. I just don't think anybody really cares. I think when people watch these games, it's about the game. I don't think it's about the announcer. I mean, that was my dad's old joke. You know, he used to say, one day I'm gonna die in the booth, and two guys are gonna be walking in downtown St. Louis, and one guy's gonna turn to the other guy and go, "Hey, did you hear Jack one guy in the booth last night?"
Okay.
And the other guy will go, "Huh? That's too
This
bad."
is going to sound kind of weird.
I mean, that's what it's about. It's about the game.
Even though I got everything set up for 4K, I'm going to do a component that is HD only. Reason being is they just don't have a 4K version of this right now, and I don't know why they don't have a 4K version of this. But that's kind of a weird piece.
I get it, and you're right. I just think you're good at it.
Okay.
It's fun to listen tonight, Joe. And
Maybe I'm wrong. Let me look this up real quick. So what I'm looking for is a stage piece for the Stagebox. Let me look this up real quick. I'm on Blackmagic's website too, so there's a bunch of pieces of equipment that are important for this, and I may just not have the right bit of knowledge to have that piece of equipment. But like I said, everything's gonna be 4K if I can get it for 4K. It's 1080p. I can really do a much cheaper version of this. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go to scratch this. I'm gonna go to a 1080p version of this. So we're gonna kind of scratch some of this stuff real quick. All right, so I kind of put myself in a stupid spot. So we're gonna start a little bit again. We're gonna go ahead and we're going to keep the encoder. The 4K encoder I'm keeping just because there's really not much difference between HD and 4K. But we are going to remove this one because it's expensive. We're going to remove this one because it's expensive. And then we're going to go to HD Constellation. So design. Blackmagic Constellation. Constellation. Okay. Sorry to be all over the place tonight, but I'm just going to go through and get the Constellation and do this one, the 20 to 20. Yeah. Okay, this gives me a whole bunch of monitor options. So we're back to where we were starting before, and then we're going to do HyperX. Everything is going to stay the same as what I started with, but we're just going to do them in HD. Instead of doing them in 4K. Even though this one says it can record up to 4K, but it's an HDMI thing. It's not actually a thing that you think it is. So we would probably run, if I'm going to these, I'm still going to do the same thing I was doing before. I'm going to run 2 of them. So we're going to have 2 program records. That way we have a backup to a backup, and then we will have the ISOs recorded in the cameras. So we're going to add 2 of these to this unit. Let me go to the cart real quick, switch that to 2, and then we'll get back to the other stuff. Sorry, I just went dumb today. So this one does have SDI, if I remember correctly. Yes, it's all SDI, HDMI, loops out and all that stuff, controls. And then, as you'll probably notice with all of these products, they have USB-Cs. This is for an external disc, and we'll have a cable hanging out for that one there. And we can run like SSDs and external SSDs that you can get from Costco and other stuff. And it's an easy way to record. You got reference in, reference out, time code, SDI in, A and B, and then we have loops so we can record from A or B. Our SDI out, we can record from SDI in or with HDMI in, sorry. So there's going to be some options, but we're going to do all SDI on this. So I sound like an idiot here, but I kind of know what I'm doing here. So we're going to have 2 of those, and then we're going to go over to 3x3 in this system here. Okay. All right, so we're going to go to Blackmagic 3x3. So what is this for? The 3x3, the reason why we're going to get this is we're going to get 2, we're going to get a total of 4. And what they are actually for is for both the stage and our main unit. These will be like our hub piece. So we can run one Ethernet cable to our camera station, so they can have like 3 cameras there, have monitors out to them too, which this is really cool. So they can see the program as I'm switching it at their cameras, or they can see their cameras. It depends what outputs I want to put with it. I could even put a run of show for them to see what they're doing on monitor for each one of them, so they know their camera shots. So say for example, I've got a dynamic who's supposed to be concentrating on presenters, concentrating on one thing. So I've got 3 cameras in the back of the room. I've got one on one side, one on the other side, and one in the middle. The one in the middle most likely will be a wide, but my 2 dynamics should be doing whatever the hell they're doing. I can give them a shot list, and they can see that and have the SDI cables come there. It's really much easier to run a couple SDI cables in the back of the room than trying to run 6 SDI cables back and forth. I can run one Ethernet cable and then run those cables out. And I'm going to have a power hub for this too, so there's going to be a couple more things that are going to be part of this package, but there's going to be one in the back, one in the front, and each one's going to have, it's going to be in a 2U, and they're going to have the ability to have power unit, fans, and this. Really super important that they're put in that particular order so that they have the extra support they need. But this allows you to run multiple cameras. So if you look at this right here, you're going to have SDI outs, SDI loops. So the loop is whatever comes in here, goes out here. Really nice for setting up monitors so they can see what they're doing from camera to camera. And then you have SDI outs, and that can go to a monitor for each of them, and they can see specific things, or I may have like a shot list for them to do, or they can see, for example, they could see what the show is, and they can also have their shot list, and then anything I need to throw in there, like if I wanted to communicate with them and type out something, or if there's changes, we can do that pretty easy, which is kind of nice. This also works for the stage. The reason why we have extra set of these too is so that if we had a couple cameras at the stage, so we had a couple of micros, so the 4K micros, we could have a couple of those on the stage at key points. So we could have one that's say aimed at the person who's at a podium. We could have 2 aimed out at the audience, and those cameras can come in. We can switch those in and out. Plus, we can also take a look at say adding in a confidence monitor for the clients. So say for example, they're looking at having a confidence monitor for themselves. And it's really nice to be able to give them that with still just using one Ethernet cable from your hub up to the stage. And say, for example, if we've got a projector or whatever, we can throw those up. Or another thing we can do, if they're cool with everything they've got up on stage and they don't need a confidence monitor up there, they're just kind of doing their thing and there's a panel, we could have slides on one of our LED walls or projectors. We could have a media piece that's up in behind them on a monitor screen or whatever, and have something else on the other side of the stage. So we have 3 different things going or 2 different things going at once. It's really nice being able to put that output from the constellation up there, and we can select pieces from the constellation and go out there specifically. So on the constellation it has 12 outs, so we can really like handpick what we want coming in and out. Another thing about having the PCs and the SDI adapters, I'll get into that in a little bit too, because there's going to be a lot of moving components here. Next, we have an SDI in, it's just an Ethernet cable, and it's a P2110 piece, so this is really nice. For here, if we were just talking about what we're going to need at the stage, let's see if they have them here. So we have 2U power. I have no idea if they do. No. Nope. That would be 112. Hold on. 1U. 12 volt. No. Okay, I'll get to that in just 1 second. So we're gonna skip over here. We're gonna head over to Amazoni, and we're gonna start adding in some components that we're gonna need. So clear this out for just a second. Save for later. So we've got pretty much what we're doing with the Stagebox setup. We're gonna have the little screen here is gonna get bad for just a second. Give me a second, I'm switching screens out. So stop sharing, see my little smiley face. We're gonna share another thing here, which is going to be Amazoni. And then we are going to kind of look at, we're gonna go 1U
So this is a pretty rare situation. First off, a retroactive slave and 2 foul. I mean, it's happened before in the playoffs. In fact,
this one I want it to be clean.
issued a retroactive slave and 2 foul. But it is an unusual thing, and it's an unusual thing to come out of suspension. The league did interview LaMelo today as a part of their investigation. I don't know what he said legally.
Thank you for joining in. I'm just having, this is just kind of like one of those days.
What was working against him here was that he's got several other instances, both this season and in the past, where he's done this exact same thing. Where he appears
What is that called?
And it's frustrating he didn't get a foul call, and he tripped a player when he thought foul happened against Dan Adebayo a couple of years ago. So the league was aware of those replays and still, I think, decided not to do this. Now, it still is a significant penalty. A flagrant 2 is a significant penalty, but it's completely unsatisfying when you know that the correct call would have been to have him ejected, and the player who he fouled is out of the game, and he is not facing any discipline beyond this. I would say this: he should consider himself a double C.
Sorry, I gotta remember all this stuff.
Anything else?
They're called.
I don't think the league is going to put timing on it. That is no solace right now.
Yeah, that's the
Conditions. Thank you.
still living because, I mean, not only was he not kicked out, but you lost your most impactful player, Bam Adebayo, on that play. And I get the NBA doesn't want to have Charlotte absent a superstar in a game for its playoff life. I get that. But Miami.
Power conditioner.
What about us? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so my situation is, I don't think a suspension is really just.
Okay,
for
so
that.
what we're gonna do right now is
The
we're gonna
fact
talk
that
about
nothing
power.
happened in the game. The game went to overtime, and I'm not saying 2 free throws in the second quarter would have made a difference, but it could be time when your potential future Hall of Fame player is not in the game, and there was nothing called. It's one thing if they call a foul and then it gets upgraded later. We've also seen this where it's been upgraded later. There was no foul at all, no free throw. So I feel for Miami, but
This is
I would
probably
argue
the one I would use right here.
if he did not get away, honestly.
Yeah, I don't want to talk
So this one just kind of tells you the amperage and keeps everything conditioned. It's going to have, I think, like 8 outputs, but we're going to need one of these. That's going to power everything. Kind of like ones we plugged in the front, so I can plug in stuff to it. So let's see if I can find it with, it's a conditioner that also has plugs in the front, because that's really kind of important to me.
Is 7th of the year,
Huh.
and it's 1-0.
15 amps will cover most of what we're doing.
Still down one, but it's a 3-2 game, but they got the right guy up. It's Mike Stroud with on it.
All right, so this is pretty much all I need, a conditioner strip. We'll probably add one of these in there for it. I don't like the brand, but let's see if I can find the brand I like.
And that's what this game is. Bottom 9, Yankees.
Thank you for your patience. I'm just trying to look at some options of what we could do. I don't want to use one of these battery backup things. But actually, we will have one of those with it too, but that's a whole other story that goes on with that. That literally will just have that there for a specific reason. But we're going to look for one of these.
Chisholm on first, Steele second. Now first and second, and both runners are off on the pitch.
Okay, I'm just going to kind of go that route there. Hi, everybody. How y'all doing tonight? Sorry, I'm just kind of doing a little thing here. So, these are your rack power supplies. Actually, this one works out really good. So, Cyber Power makes one that's really nice. I've had it, and it's been really, really good unit for me here. It gives you, I forget the total number it gives you, but I think it's like 12 total plugs. This is a really good way to go. It surge protector, throw it in there. It'll plug and power everything you need, and you'll be good. So if you don't know what to get, this one's a nice one to get. So that'll go with the rack that we're doing. So they'll bring all the power supplies, so those powers for the laptops and everything else, and switch the power on, everything shuts on, switch the power off, everything shuts off. Pretty simple, pretty easy to work with there. We're also going to need a cooling solution. So I'm going to recommend that we, in this case here, get 2 cooling fans. I found that with the Blackmagic design stuff, it gets hot as hell. So we're going to need a cooling fan. So it is a 1U rack fan. I have had really good experience with a whole bunch of these. These are really good ones. I have this for my system, and it works spectacularly for mine. This is just a great one. So we're probably going to need 2 of these, an in and an out. So we're going to have a flow in, and we're going to have a flow out. So that's your exhaust. And then this is exhaust, so I need one that's intake. Here's my intake fan. So why is this important? You're going to need airflow to go through this unit, and you want to keep everything really, really cool. So this will keep the unit cool. So we're looking at like $400 to keep the units cool, worth every penny. Basically in the 8U rack, you're going to have it on one side or the other, or you have them both on the same side, but you're going to have the cold air come in the bottom and hot air go out the top. So it just kind of depends how you build your rack. So it's either flowing left to right or right to left, or it's going from bottom to top with cold air coming into the bottom and hot air going out the top. So either way, that's going to be important for your Flypack so that you can run it all day long. We haven't got done with the full part of the Flypack up front, but we're almost there. Now we're gonna need audio. Yeah, we're getting that in just a second. We're gonna be going over to a different source, but these are some of the things we need right here. We're also going to need probably a 12U. Rack case. So we're probably going to need a 12U rack case. These are really kind of important. There's 10Us, there's 8Us, there's 12Us. That's just the number of units you can put in it. For this one, I'm probably going to want to go one of these. The reason why I want to go 12U is just for height. It's just easier to get to stuff. But there's also, we could do an 8U without wheels. So we could do something like 10U. Probably can get away with a 10U case. And get away with that. Something like this here. This amp case would probably be just fine. We would just need to have a way of lifting it up onto the table. I kind of like having wheels, but also the disadvantage of having wheels is you know, they can put them on the table. So we're probably going to go, I'll go with something like this, just to give an example. This will allow us to put everything in there, lift it up, and just set it down in front of us on the table and just get to work. And then have monitors above us. It's a pretty simple solution and it works really well. You basically have something about this tall in front of you and monitors above, and you just basically do touching and previewing, or you could do it off your laptop. Most likely our switcher people will be doing it off the laptop because it's relatively easy to do, but if it's something we're going to do fast switching on, most likely we will just have the unit where you're just tapping and going and tapping and going. But yeah, this is the case. The idea is it's heavy, made of wood, and everything goes inside of here. We mount everything up. We would have a bunch of different ports that go off the back, so it's just easy to just connect and go and move. SDI bridges and stuff like that. So it's going to look really clean all the way around, and getting everything back and forth. We would have a couple XLR outs and stuff like that, so this would be the case for it. Now, speaking of which, we've now put together all the visual options that we need. So talked about the cases, the power. Let's get into, let's go back to where we were before, which was the B&H. We're back to B&H. With B&H, we're going to get back to the cart and show you everything we have in the cart again that goes along with it. So we're going to have 4 of these. We're going to have 2 of these, and we're going to have 1 of these. So we've got a total of 7 plugs we need power for, and actually we're going to need like 8. So we'll probably have 2 conditioner plug sets. One's going to be for audio, and one's going to be for video components. And this will sound odd that one will get its own for audio, and audio may only need 1 plug, but I always like having audio and video on separate plugs, so if there is an issue, we can isolate the plug that's having the issue. There's a ground issue in a place, which we ran into at a location. And if we need to plug audio into the same plug we had before, under the one same conditioner, we can do that. I just like having the separate audio pieces. So let's look at what we got here. This is going to be your stage stuff that's going to go out to the stage, and also to your video hub. Now that doesn't mean we won't have other HDMIs we can put out, but the idea is everything that's going out, I mean SDIs are going out, everything that's SDI that's going out will be bridged through one of these systems if we can. Doesn't mean it has to be, but the idea is I want it running most of the times through that. And then we're going to have our hyperdeck. The hyperdeck is basically recording. We're going to have 2 recordings. We're going to have the recording of the show itself and the stream itself. And if there's no stream, we're still going to have 2 recordings, so it's always good to have a backup to a backup. So if one doesn't record, the other one does record. Like tonight, this hour video is being recorded on EVMux, but it's nice to always have a backup. The next piece we're going to have here is the A10 ME2. This one is going to be your hub for switching and stuff like that. So essentially, this is going to switch everything for you. You're going to have a monitor screen, and you'll be able to see everything you need to see. You're going to have 20 ins and 12 outs, and those can be all modulated. So if we've got something going out to a particular monitor, we can make sure that everything's going out the way they need to go out to. We'll have a total of 6, 8, 9. So 9 of those 12 that are over here that are not multi-preview and stuff like that. So these are like your preview ones that are on the right. But 9 of these will automatically all be taken anyway. So you're going to have 3 out to the stage, 3 out to the cameras, 2 out, 3 out to the hyperdeck, and then 1 to the encoder. So there's going to be a lot of art of this going out already. So it's just going to leave me 3 more that are going to be available, along with the multi-view and the preview. So it still leaves me 5, but it's not going to be as many as you think will be available. There is a unit of this that, yeah, they do have a 40 version of this one. That's 4,000. This one is obscene. Like, it's cool to see this, but it's like, oh my God. I think it's like 24 outputs. Yeah, it's 24 outputs. I mean, if you really were concerned that you're not doing good enough for your outputs, this would give you more outputs and more inputs, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. But I mean, it's ultimately up to you. If you want to spend an extra $2,000 on that, please feel free to spend an extra $2,000. Because if you go back to the 20 and you look back here, you're gonna have, you're still gonna have more than enough outputs to get through it, and you're gonna have your inputs. So here's your audio channel inputs too. We'll get to that, like I said, in a little bit here. That's gonna be your audio from your mixer board. So appreciate everybody who's been popping in and out watching. Now let's get to the audio component of this unit. And I guess we need to go to Sweetwater, which is their website. So we're going to pop out of this, share again, Sweetwater, share that. All right, so now we're at Sweetwater, and we're going to be basically looking at a couple of rack mixers. Okay. The rack mixers are mixers that you can put into a rack, and they would allow you to do all your controls. So Alden Heath has one, Midas has one, Behringer has one. There's just a multitude of these that are available out there right now that are just really cool. I've worked with the Mackie DL32S, so that would probably be up here. So I've got 2 of these already, and they work really, really good. But you have to have a desktop or a laptop to function them, or a tablet, so you do need something a little extra with it. We have one of these, which is the Midas MR18. Works with a laptop. butter, just straight butter. I like working with it. It's a really, really nice unit to work with. And of course, it's got the Midas board stuff. There's a Yamaha version, which is this one here. Pull that up here. These are just some options on these racks. So this is the rackable 22 in, 12 out system. Oh, come on. There was no need to do deals on it. So it's like $1,900 for this one here. Let's kind of walk through what it's got in the back. So you're gonna have 16 inputs here. So that's kind of cool. The combos are done different. So you got your mic and line inputs here. And then you're gonna have 10 controllable outputs plus your main outputs. And then you've got a couple auxiliaries and some tracks. And then you get ASE outputs, which is for a Stagebox. And then of course you're gonna have a couple of extra inputs and outputs. And you're also gonna have USB and network controls. Really cool unit for the price. You don't get as much as you do with some other units, but it is one of those where it's rackable. It's going to be kind of a touch screeny thing, and then you can also do slots. And kind of easy to touch with and control where things are. Like it, but for the money, I'm just not sold on it. Your next one that's going to be a rack one. That's a really nice one. Is going to be the Midas or the Behringer. All right, like it, love it, or leave it. This brand is really by Midas has really done a great job on this wing. Touchscreen, easy to function, everything's visible, has an app. It has the capability of doing easy USB audio recordings. It's one of those where it's like, man, they just made a really good piece you could add to a rack, and a lot of inputs and a lot of outputs, and doing the Stagebox is super easy because I like Ethernet cables. You can use a Cat 6 cable or a Cat 8 cable, and that's all you need to go to the Stagebox. Stagebox is easy to work with, so essentially you would have 2 Ethernet cables going straight to the Stagebox, or you can technically go through a network system and do it that way. I'm not going to go through a network hub because I have to do some programming, because I want everything just to be direct touch to touch. So 2 cables to the stage is all I'm going to need to run all the audio in, audio out, and being able to do video in and out in one box on the stage. And it's going to be a total of 3 Ethernet cables out of my main hub to control everything else. So I mean, it's great. And then 1 Ethernet cable coming in if I wanted to use the NDI and the other stuff. We'll get into that a little bit later. But this wing is probably the one I'd recommend, and here's the reason why. All the combo jacks has got built into it. So 24 inputs is a lot of inputs. You have the ability to record right here, 2 SD cards. The 32 gigabytes is the max size of these, and you can record audio multi-track and stems, so that's really good for clients. This has, I don't understand how this brand is doing this, but it works. So they've got the ASE, they've got the Stage Connect, which is going to be the one you saw with the Yamaha. It's going to have the control networks, which is going to have 2 of them in it, and it's also going to have digital audio in and out through ASC and EBU. They have a lot of inputs and outputs, and then they've also got the controls here, and then it also has as many inputs as you got in going out to your laptop, plus back and forth, and you can also give laptop audio going back to that. It's absolutely insane. And then you're going to have 4 headphone outputs, and those are programmable. So you can have 4 sets of headphones that are sitting out there for your clients. Have a MIDI in and MIDI out. It's it's absolutely insane what this has. And it has a total of 8 outputs coming from the main unit. Solid piece to add to your rack of everything you need. So at the hub, you could have 2 audio outputs that are going to your main unit. You have audio outputs going to your headphone jack system. And then you can still run, if you were just going to bring this pack by itself and you wanted to run a couple speakers at the stage or your unit where you're at, and you still need to be very easy to run this whole thing from this unit alone, from at home, or we could run it. It's man, this setup is super nice to work with. And it's all touchscreen too, because you want to touch and turn the volumes up and down and make adjustments, and it's all front screen. This one, for the money you're spending, it's $17.99. I just don't see a negative. And that's the thing. When I go, you don't get this good of a setup when you go to the Yamaha. That's the reason why I kind of was like, for the money, the Yamaha is just not doing it. If you're budget conscientious and you don't mind doing stuff a little bit more analog-y work, there is the Behringer rack one. It's a little bit smaller rack. This one, on the other hand, has a crap ton more inputs and outputs, which is kind of weird. So you're gonna only have 16 here, and you're only gonna have 8, but you're also gonna have all these in and outs here. A little less to work with and a little less control on the record. So if I were with anybody, the Behringer Wing 48 channel is probably going to be the best overall to add to that rack system. And then, if you don't mind going up to $3,000, I do like the Allen Heath though. They just do a really good job. I can't complain about this. Their inputs and outputs are excellent. So you're gonna have 16 inputs. You're gonna have a couple of stereo line ins, and then you're gonna have a couple auxiliary outs, A and B. You have an A.S.C out, which is really like a standard, but like I said, the other one has that too. S-Link is there. You have network control. You have USB for recording, and then there's also that goes to the computer. The only disadvantage to this one is I think everything's up front for the USB, but the USB, I believe, does multi-track recording. This USB does multi-track recording, from my understanding. So not a big deficit, but when you're looking back here, you're going to have 16 inputs. You're going to have more outputs. And Allen Heath has some nicer boards. So, I mean, we're a toss-up. Do I spend $1,000 more for Allen Heath in a name, or do I stick with something that's like $1,000 or so less? And I'm probably going to go $1,000 or so less with this setup, because it's going to work out great anyways. So I'm going to recommend the Behringer Wing. Now, back is hurting. I think that just about covers everything we would need from the home base. We got power supplies, cooling fans. Oh, we need rack pieces. Oh, this is the part where it's going to be I/O ports like crazy. The reason why we got a 10U is we're going to have these ports where we're going to like link things together. Yeah, just budget another $1,000 for that. And those are going to be ports that are going to go on the back side, and you're going to have all your cable inputs there, and they're going to connect and stuff like that. It keeps everything neat, it keeps everything put together well, and you're going to have a couple slots to put your power outputs. And I kind of say what those are. Let me go to Amazon and show you that. This is I'm talking gibberish now, and it could just be I'm tired. But this is kind of fun to just talk about in general. I love talking about this stuff. So let's go 1U, rack, blanks. There we go, rack blanks. No, not blanks, what am I looking for? 1U, rack. You know, it's really sad when you're plates. Come on. Yeah, there they are. Ah, these. These right here are going to be part of your system. The reason why they're so important is each one of these can be made in anything you want. They're basically made for inserts. Inserts look like, so here are what the inserts kind of look like. So some will be XLR panel mounts. Some will be panel mount. SDI. So these are panel mount SDIs. So these just basically give you a clean path. So like we're gonna have these nice clean SDI paths, and they're gonna be locked in. So it's really, really nice. They look clean. They allow you to put the BNC cables through and get really clean stuff. And then you're gonna have your Ethernet options here. So overall, on the back panel is all nice, flush, clean, and clear. So like this here's BNC antenna adapters, but yeah, same idea. They go in, they kind of lock in place. I like the other ones better, and then we can have HDMI's, other stuff, and adapters, so it'll work out great. Speaking of which, I did forget something. So if we go back over, we're gonna stay here, Amazon. Go over to the other one. So we're gonna go Magic, HDMI to SDI. So we're gonna have a bunch of these converters that are gonna be in our system. These are kind of important just because they're gonna have in and outs. Essentially, they'll be plugged in. They're gonna do SDI in, SDI out, and then they're gonna have HDMI the other way around. Here it is. So I'm probably going to need 2 of these. Essentially, this just allows me to take the SDI, put the HDMI, and build up for the monitors. Probably going to have 2 of those for the monitors, because most of the monitors are HDMI that we're going to use for these smalls, but we're also going to have SDI options too. This has an SDI loop out, so we're going to have an SDI out and an HDMI out. So we're going to have 2 just in case we're doing one or the other, which is pretty cool. So I mean, you're going to have a loop out on this. See some more pictures here. Show you what I mean. So SDI in, SDI out, then there's going to be HDMI out. So I'll still be able to keep all the SDI stuff I'm doing, but I'll also have an HDMI option too. So depending on what monitors we have, the Flypack is going to be monitor agnostic. I can put whatever monitor I want, whatever system I'm putting for it. It's also going to have that so that if we have projectors, we can run those too, and that'll be at the other unit that's on the other side, and it all makes sense. But this will allow us to have a lot of options to be able to cover anything and everything we're doing for outputs and inputs. So we'll be copacetic no matter what. Then I think everything so far that I think we should do from this side. We got audio, we've got the other, we don't have RF. We're going to have one set of RF with us, and RF is just like wireless mics. So we have a set of wireless mics that are going to be all in the Stagebox, and then we're going to have a set of RFs with this unit. And the reason why we're going to have a set of RFs with this unit is so that if we're just deploying a small setup where it's just this unit, and we're gonna do everything from it and the cameras from it. So we're gonna do one camera or whatever it is. And, it just turns out we can get away with doing that, and we're just gonna run like 2 speakers in a room. Or we're just gonna, it just turns out A, client may not have budget, or B, it's easy enough for us to deploy a couple speakers and live stream the rest of it, have everything run off the SDI cables. We can do that too. It gives us a lot of flexibility to work off that. We are not running fiber with this one, but somebody's going to ask it, is there going to be a fiber solution? So the answer is yes. But it's stupidly expensive. But I will show you. Fiber. There you go. On the off chance that we are working in a very, very, very high-end system, we will have this option available, but it will be with our 4K system, not with this system. Though someone's going to ask for it. I know it. And that'll be in the big one, but the question will come up, do we have the fiber system? And the answer is yes, but it will go to the other box. Let me pull up the fiber one. What's the name of this? Studio Fiber Converter. This is not a man, they don't even have it here on Amazon. This is not going to be let me switch over to Blackmagic so you can see what I'm talking about. Not everyone even carries this product, so kind of in a catch-22. So this is the fiber. So these go to like really, really high-end professional cameras. Like I was at AEW tonight, and Sony had them. They had Sony cameras, and you're gonna need the fibers. These are really awesome, but you're talking about this fiber here. This is a glass fiber cable that they use for high-end professional work. It sends power to the unit. You're going to have one of these units on the back of your cameras. There's a Sony version of this. There's a Blackmagic version of this. It's another $7,000 investment. Just be ready to invest in it. These are 10 gig IP video cables, which is really cool. Don't get me wrong, really cool. Man, you're gonna be doing some work. So in this particular case, I'm pretty much limiting these to my 4K system because that's what I want to limit it to. That doesn't mean it can't do 1080p because it can. The SDI output is 3G, which kind of, it's this one right here on the V-Lock. But really the unit that we're doing is the converter here, and if we're going to the tech specs on that, it's going to have 2 12G outputs, 4K 60. That's why it's going to go to my other unit. Yeah, but if you ask, that is something we're thinking about, but we'll not be going to the units that we're talking about. This reason we're using these small P2110s. It's similar to this, but not the same. And technically, we can get high flexibility SDI cables that are pretty rigid and can withstand, but it's really we're just going to have some SDI cables going out for them to go to. We're also going to have a PTZ solution with this setup and other stuff, so the whole rack's going to be able to run PTZs, NDI, and P2110, depending on how we're doing it. But if we're talking like physical switching, everything's going to be coming through the P2110 or direct cables in. So that's the reason why I'm doing it this way. It is close to midnight here on the West Coast, and I'm really tired. So I appreciate everybody who clocked in on the late night one. I mean, gotta be real, it's late night. So if you're here, nothing but respect for you. Whatever. I appreciate y'all. You did not have to be here, so for those who showed up, much love to y'all. I appreciate everybody who comes into the streams and watches. A lot of this stuff here, we're going to get really into some expert type stuff. If you've been watching my streams before, I've been just having some fun with them. We're going to be taking some time to really dive into details, why you do certain things, why certain cameras, or the hows, the whats, the wheres, the whens of each component, and where it can become a very positive thing for you. We're going to be doing a lot of that going into it. We have two collectives that are doing work here. So we have A.P.C, which is my main company, and then we also have the Elite Collective, who I work with a lot. And then there's Grand Rise. Man, there's a lot of companies I work with. And we're going to talk about how to optimize everything. And this also is to help those to my LinkedIn followers and subscribers, to help you make sure you get the right people to assist you and get the right equipment to assist you. With event season coming up, with FIFA coming in Seattle, going to be talking about ways that you can have the best equipment. We're going to probably spend a lot of time on sound over the next week of live streams, because sound, is boring as it is the most important thing for any of your live functions. So RF and all that is going to be important. Speaking of which, the last thing we're going to need on this rack is going to be RF. RF is just wireless mics. Let me pull up the same page I was at before. Let me pull up Sweetwater. They are the ones who handle sound. Share. We're going to go with tried and true SLXD Shure. In Seattle, this is what I'm going to recommend, SLXD Shures.
And the Clips take an 8-point lead. Mid-third. Warriors down 8. Steph from Draymond. All three of these and one more. Those two, how often have they worked in tandem? Then it's Curry. Again, 16 in the third. Warriors down 5.
Hold on a second. Apparently they've added a new thing, plus.
Out of his mind. Then, late third.
Oh, I like that. You can adjust things well.
Benedict Mathurin clips back up by 6.
Kind of like that.
A lot of them, including the vet in the corner, ready to catch and shoot. Who's that? That's Al Horford. How about 4 triples in the third? It's a 5-point game. A great find in the corner, then watch Al.
I kind of like this.
Just caught the pass on Santos back to Horford. Another 3.
This is actually a really cool system. So we'll probably run these pluses from the main unit. I don't like the SM58s. Reason being is a lot of people.
And now the Golden State lead is 2. It's a tie game. Curry. Unbelievable. How often have we seen this man?
Oh, that just makes it difficult. They got some cool mic stuff.
And he buries that one. The Warriors had to have it.
I have to remember that for the other one. I like the Beta 58s a little bit better, even if I'm not getting the Plus version of it. I just like the Beta 58s better. Reason being is they just do a better job on the mic side of it for people who aren't good with microphones. And that happens a lot. We have a lot of clients who just aren't comfortable with the microphone, or put them too low or whatever else. And it gives us more flexibility. And so I'm definitely looking at these. Really haven't seen too many mics like this. I really like that. They made it smaller. I'm really enjoying getting it set up. Means I can run. Ooh, this is really cool. 8 mics in a smaller setup. I'm liking this already. This is kind of a drool thing for me. This is boring to a lot of people, but this will allow us to run 2 mics with 1 unit. It's smaller. Yeah, probably go 2 of these. We'd add 1 of these to the rack. And what's nice about this is it's all in one. It's a small size, half rack size, so it works really good. You get the wireless mics and it is digital. All right, been fun. Thank you. Nobody commented today, but I had a bunch of people pop in and out of the stream. I appreciate that. Let's see how many people actually popped in and out of the stream tonight, at least on the YouTube side. Go to the YouTube studio. Let's see how many y'all popped in. I'll say thank you to everybody who did. It was kind of a late stream, so I wasn't really expecting many to pop in at all. But those who did, I appreciate it. Let's see. Been out for like an hour. A few popped in today. That's kind of nice. People popping in and out. Kind of nice. Appreciate that. Thank you for coming into the stream. You didn't have to. Much love to y'all. The next stream will be specifically on the rack that we're going to be doing for this. I think I'm going to do the next one about the rack on the stage because I didn't get to that here. That one's going to be 32. Talking about it now, it's going to be a 32 channel Stagebox with 8 channels of RF at the stage, which is really cool. It'll probably be a full in-ear system too, so we'll get into that and why that's important for clients, so they can hear themselves and not be freaked out. One of the things I like about having in-ears is so that they understand how quiet they're being, because a lot of times I feel like that reverberation of strong sound is too much. And it's shocking if you're not used to being on stage. You're only doing it 2 or 3 times a year, and I don't think anybody who's only doing it 2 or 3 times a year, you hear those PA speakers go the first time, it'll scare the living daylights out of you. All right, everybody have a good night. Appreciate everybody. Thank you for popping in.